the worksheet will guide you to identify the problem you want to solve, to think about your product or service that you'll be providing, target your ideal customers, identify who your competitors are, and then how you'll make money. So today we will work on the first two boxes. So you can grab your Post-it notes. If you have a physical copy of this sheet, each of those squares are actually designed to fit the sticky note with the exact size on there. And then we suggest sticky notes just because your ideas will shift and evolve. And then we call this a living document, meaning that it's constantly going to change as well. So to start off this week, today's focus will be addressing the key questions related to defining and describing your business idea. So we'll be focusing on the first two boxes today, answering the questions of describing your business and then what problem you're solving. So we'll also delve into the aspects of starting to identify what, so through that, to identify the problem your business aims to solve. Sorry, guys. This validator worksheet serves as an important tool to help you pinpoint the resources necessary to bring your idea to life. And then it encourages you to explore various avenues aligned with your unique business concept. You'll also be able to utilize this worksheet to establish clear action items, enabling you to break down different tasks and make your progress in developing your idea or growing your idea and making them both manageable and actionable. And then here's an illustration of, or the next slide is an illustration of how your worksheet takes shape when you populate the different sections. Dwayne, a colleague and alumni of Change Labs, and he'll actually be presenting tomorrow as well, completed this worksheet for his concept, Fairground Collective. So the sheet provides a detailed breakdown of the initial stages of his idea, and you'll see in the red that his earlier ideas, and then as he further progressed and developed his different ideas, they evolved into more detailed concepts. And luckily, Dwayne's not here today, so he doesn't get embarrassed by it. It's a really, really great worksheet that was completed by him. And then on the next page here, throughout the breakdown of our worksheet, we'll be focusing on the step of defining your value proposition as well. So we define the value proposition as a concise statement that articulates how your product or service solves a specific problem and adding value, or it fulfills the needs of your customers. I think of it as what value you are proposing as your business owner with your business to your customers and your communities. And by channeling your dedicated research and efforts into shaping your idea, you can progress from the initial document on the top there, the Idea Validator, to the business model canvas down below. You see the arrow that points downward. The business model canvas is also a concise one-page framework summarizing the key aspects of a business as your business, such as the target customers, your value proposition, your revenue streams, and a lot more. This is a tool that Change Labs uses heavily throughout all of our programming. So if you're interested in tapping into any of our programming or services, we highly recommend both these worksheets here because we do use both of them as well. And then both of those documents being a living document, such as the BMC, the business model canvas, it reflects an ever-changing nature of your business operations. And then the information you put onto the sheet becomes a resource for creating other things, such as structuring your business model and then even putting together a successful business plan. As a business plan is a document outlining your business's goals, your strategies, and your operations. And all that is going to be information that you can pull directly from your business model canvas. And then it can then be used for things like securing funding, guiding your internal decisions, attracting various business partners who want to be involved with what you're doing, and then communicating your business model and your vision to stakeholders.
Definitely. And for people who are looking, especially with the launch of our kinship loan, our lending application for our micro lending program that we have that opened up last Friday, if you are needing support in the sense of getting your BMC done, which is one of the documents that you can definitely use to help aid your application, kind of start with the business idea validator as a great kind of starting entry point, and then go into kind of refining a lot of those details into your business business model canvas. So, and then ultimately, if you try to apply anywhere else for micro lending, having a great kind of business plan is a great thing to also have within your toolkit when going and talking with a lot of kind of financial institutions. So we highly suggest using and working through kind of this great kind of triad of resources that we have, as well as to always going back and refining your PMC, as Raquel kind of said. So great.
Thanks, Holly. And then on the next slide, we have the question, what is a business model? So completing a business model canvas is really important for clarity and then strategic planning. Like we said, effective communication, identifying gaps and opportunities in your business, and then allocating resources effectively. So it condenses the business information into a visual, enabling entrepreneurs like yourselves to understand, communicate, and then refine your unique venture effectively. So as I have a couple of examples here in my notes. One business model would be a local coffee shop that has a brick and mortar retail. And brick and mortar retail refers to physical stores that are a fixed location where customers can visit to make purchases, as opposed to online businesses. So an actual real life example would be Hogan Espresso here in Tuba City. They're a local small owned coffee shop and rely on their brick and mortar retail model, and their revenue is generated through the sales of beverages, foods such as pastries, and various merchandises. Customer loyalty and community engagement play a really big role in sustaining their business. And then another example of a model would be, this is just an example of a business, not a real business. It's a Navajo arts and craft or Native arts and craft online store. And their model would be e-commerce, meaning that the buying and selling of their goods and services are over the internet, eliminating the need for a physical store. So an example would be maybe Navajo Crafts based in Chinle, Arizona. And so this Native-owned business would be operating an online store specializing in, say, traditional Native artisan crafts. And the e-commerce model allows them to reach a broader audience beyond their local community, and revenue generated through the online sale of handmade jewelries, textiles, and et cetera. And then the business may also participate in local events such as the flea markets to enhance their community ties and then to grow their customer base. So the business models serve as a really important roadmap, providing structured overview of how a business operates and creates value. All right, and then our next slide there. So talk a little about the essence of being an entrepreneur. Here at Change Labs, we believe in abundance, reciprocity, innovation, and design throughout all of our programming and all the services that we provide. We strongly believe that the Native entrepreneurship holds immense promise for our futures. Not only do we possess the essential elements for business success, we also have a unique opportunity to introduce a fresh approach to the marketplace. Our ability to address the pressing issues within our own communities aligns with the global desire for sustainable and meaningful solutions. Despite enduring generations of oppression and genocide, our resilience and distinctive perspectives have allowed our communities to really thrive in that area because our values of how we think of things. And now we stand at a pivotal moment in society where we can leverage these values and influence the broader world because they value that and they see that value as well. So your presence here today signifies a shared commitment to this transformative journey that we have in our mission. And throughout the rest of this week, our aim is to equip you with the skills and knowledge necessary to refine and advance your business ideas. But first, we will talk more about the essence of entrepreneurship in the next slide. Native entrepreneurs play a really vital role in sustaining our local economy and our activities within our communities, benefiting a larger segment of the population and encouraging increased community engagement. So because of the failure to center entrepreneurs in economic development, there's a lot of untapped value left on the table. And unlocking and taking control of this value requires a collective effort among all of our communities to cultivate a supportive Native ecosystem for all of our entrepreneurs. Many communities may not fully grasp the existing barriers that are there and that create obstacles for this value to reach and benefit individuals. But here at Change Labs, we've conducted very many discussions aimed at mapping the entrepreneurial journey, allowing us to identify the components needed for a robust and healthy ecosystem here. And our commitment extends beyond merely supporting business owners themselves. It also involves creating that environment at large that highlights the deep-rooted value that we know we have and that we can offer not only just to our communities, but to the world as well. So through these discussions, we've gained a lot of really valuable insights, enabling us as Change Lab to understand and address the needs of the entrepreneurial landscape. And this knowledge has been really instrumental in guiding our efforts and all of our programming towards fostering a movement dedicated to investing in local businesses and showing that value there. And then in the next slide, it talks about the entrepreneurial mindset. So Change Labs was founded also on the belief that true economic opportunity stems from investing in the skills, the knowledge, and the creativity embedded in our community already. While our approach may differ from other traditional investments, our goal is to work with Native entrepreneurs like yourselves in creating something that not only benefits everyone individually, but also extends economic opportunities to your families and then the rest of your communities. In your journey with us, we want to encourage a shift from that scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. We embracing creative problem solving as a really powerful tool. And we also want to advocate daring to dream big, instilling confidence in ourselves and our abilities, because we deserve nice things too, right? Our mission emphasizes leaning into our special cultures, stepping into leadership roles, and then your unwavering commitment to simply getting things done. We're here to support you in what you want to develop and then where you want to take those ideas. So together, we can foster a future where these principles serve as the foundation for lasting economic empowerment and then success for your business. So our economic landscapes and communities at large. And then the next slide just talks a little bit about reciprocity. Our co-founders, Jessica Stago and Heather Fleming, are constantly talking about this as well. By definition, reciprocity is a practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges that are granted by one group to another organization or another group as well. And at Change Labs, our relationships revolve around the principle of reciprocity. Like we literally have it as names in our program, such as kinship lending and its influence on shaping the economy. And our aim to invest in you has the expectation that you in turn will contribute to our economy as well. Okay, so we have an idea, and that idea, Holly and Dwayne and I said the fiber truck, Pinyon fiber truck is going to be our idea for this week as an example to walk through with you guys. And then we're going to define what the idea is, as well as identify the problem and opportunity there. And the next slide. These are the two questions that we're going to focus on today. We aren't going to focus as much on the why or how we all got to this point of our ideas, but even though it is a really big part of our story, today we're going to focus on answering these two questions specifically in the two boxes on your worksheet. So in the next slide, we're going to start with the first question. Can we describe our business idea? And how would we describe it to anyone that asked us about our idea? So say, for example, you approach Change Labs and you have a business idea that you would like support on. How are you going to let us know what your idea is? So we need to define it. So where do we plan for taking into consideration the Pinyon fiber truck? So where do we plan on operating our food truck? And who's going to be our target audience? Or who's the food truck going to service? What are our operational considerations, such as hourly operations, and then as well as staff requirements. What details is going to make our food truck business unique compared to the others, and then what is going to set us apart from others in the market. So those are questions you can take into consideration, and then I can put that in the chat too if you guys want to use that as kind of a guide for your sheet that you're working on. Hopefully you're working on it right now. And then we can get to the next slide. We're going to visualize what our statement could be. So as an answer for a fiber truck, location. So we want to service the communities of Pinon, Tuba City, Arizona, Shanto, and Hopi. The product and service that we are going to provide are hot, homemade, tasty fried bread. And who are we going to be servicing, which is also going to be the local community members and passersby. So maybe they see our awesome food truck sitting on the side of the road at a junction and they're hungry and they don't know when they're going to have their next meal. So they're going to stop by and enjoy the local cuisine, advertised as a native owned business on the Navajo Nation and the business, the Hopi Nation as well. And so for the next slide, Holly, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think if we, hold on, I'm trying to go back.
Okay.
Okay, so when we talk about especially this section, a lot of people love to talk about the opportunity first whenever they talk about their business, which is like so great, and it's also a great thing to talk about when you're just first discussing and about the value proposition of the business, or like the reason, again, as Raquel said, the why. We're breaking out the why right now. We're breaking it out, and we're going to cover it in 3 whole spaces onto this document. The first is kind of, as we're talking about the business idea, just talk about the operations of it, talk about where it's going to be at. So for example, if we're not doing something as like a firebread food truck, let's talk about consulting or federal contracting, or even to like a farm. A lot of FAQs that we've gotten here at the center of our eShip hub in Tuba City have been like, hey, I'm trying to start a nonprofit here on the Navajo Nation to help best support our elderly in the community. I see there's a huge kind of need, and it's like, whoa, stop. You gave a great kind of overview of who essentially you'll be kind of targeting, but let's talk more about the nonprofit. Let's talk about what exactly are going to be the quote unquote products, the services. What will be on, how will people approach you? Is it home base? Is it going to be like a partnership collaboration type of thing? Or like, who are you seeking? Because sometimes people get, when they're talking about like organizations and nonprofits that they're creating, they get a little misconstrued about the audience and then the people who would technically receive the service, but who then exactly is going to pay for it. So if that's in your wheelhouse of something that you're interested of kind of creating and starting, when you're talking about the business, talk about essentially start visualizing who then would actually pay you to do these things. So if it's a nonprofit, are you seeking grants from who? From where? Is it a government contract? Is it with the nation? Is it with schools? Is it with community centers? Is it, like, I think also too, we've heard people who wanted to go into kind of the tourist industry. So they want to turn their home site leases into business site leases here on Navajo or Hopi. They want to turn their hogans and their extra rooms into Airbnbs, or they want to break into that or go into like more of a service base of experience-based businesses. So for example, we have a couple of touring businesses that come to our coaching sessions, and they're talking about, yes, I want to show people this experience of Navajo that they'd never had before, or Hopi that they'd never had before, doing walking tours. And it's like, okay, great. So you may have a ton of knowledge about the land, but also too, like, what type of walking tours? Is it one type of walking tour? Is it a mile long? Like, this is a great, the reason why we use sticky notes is because you can layer a ton of sticky notes on top of that square. That when we go back to this visualization right here of the Idea Validator, you can layer so many sticky notes on top of this, and that you can even draw, you can add a lot of your ideas. If you're not very good with the words or writing out sentences, like that's why this is a great place to start. If those of you are on the call are looking to start a business plan first. So start kind of maybe use like 5 stickies to describe your business, or start bullet pointing them of what the business would operate within, how it would operate. How many employees do you have? Like we're a team of 8 here at Change Labs. So like if we were to do this idea validator for Change Labs, and hypothetically, if we never existed and we went to Heather and Jessica and our co-founders and asked them, okay, visualize Change Labs, they would probably put nonprofit located on Navajo, servicing Indigenous entrepreneurs who want to grow their business within the lands of Navajo and Hopi. And we would do business coaching. We would have a micro lending program, quote unquote venture capital. We would dream of supplying grants to people one day, or having the ability to help break down the possibility of registering a Navajo business on Navajo through an automated system, as other states do, or something like that. Like we would start talking about all of the things that we can encapsulate within this business, and essentially like the activities that would happen in the business. And we would grow and have employees that were Navajo themselves, or from the communities that we hope to service, that know about how these communities work. So kind of start listing that as you're kind of going through this one box. Don't touch yet like why there's a need for it. We'll kind of break that out a little bit more in the next 2 sections, and over the course of tomorrow as well too. So, but like for right now, just if sky's the limit and you're able to secure the capital, you're able to expand this, another thing that could help on the sticky is establishing goals out from 3 months of accomplishable goals in 3 months, accomplishable goals in 6 months, and accomplishable goals for yourself as the person who's creating this business within 5 years. So kind of take that into encapsulation as you're kind of writing out this business idea. And even too, the business could change. It could morph into something completely different, such as Change Labs. We went from business coaching as well as our program here through Entrepreneurial Support Services, or eShip support. We combined both our co-working space and our incubator program together. It's because we knew that entrepreneurs like you needed support and a resource hub all together of those sources. So again, too, there can be a natural progression of evolution of this business. Or even too, if those of you who are kind of coming to us of just wanting to see the effectiveness of the current way that you're making or doing business, you can write that out too, of just being like, I want to be able to make it into the herd market, or I want to go to SWAIA, or I want to be able to have enough with the work that I do to make it into larger markets. But I don't want to expand my team, and I just want to still keep it within myself or my family. Like that's totally fine as well too. Growth means something different to every single entrepreneur, and especially too within the Native communities that we reside within, especially Navajo and Hopi. Growth can look, and success can look very, very different. So great. All right. We can progress on. Actually, is there any questions from the room in the eShip Hub, and also to those of you who are joining online via Zoom? Or two, is there some businesses? Oh, there's an echo. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think the echo was me. All right. The next, these are some ideas that I pulled from AI actually. I asked AI to give me ideas on what a business idea is that's operating on either the Hopi or Navajo Nation. So it gave me these really great examples. Some of them sound really familiar. So for example, the Cultural Education Center, the way the ChatGPT or AI describes this business is that it's a cultural education center to host workshops, events, and programs that educate both local and visitors about the rich heritage of the Navajo people. So that would be how this person explains what their idea is about and what how they would describe it to someone who would ask them, such as change labs. If we ask this person what your idea is, this is what an example of a response that we would get. Another one would be Hopi cultural tours. So guided tours to showcase the rich cultural heritage of the Hopi Nation, providing visitors with an immersive experience. So it makes it, the way this person explains their business makes it enticing and exciting, and you get curious about it. The next sticky is a cultural apparel boutique. So a boutique featuring clothing and accessories created by Native members supporting local artisans. Another example is the traditional cuisine catering, a catering service specializing in traditional Navajo cuisine for events and gatherings. And then another one is sustainable agriculture, a small scale organic farm focusing on ethical farming and ranching, promoting sustainable agricultural practices. So if you notice by each of these statements, they don't automatically showcase a problem within their statement. They don't allude to that their business statement is what, I guess, the solution to their problem that they're proposing here. Is that how you would say it, Holly? Sorry. So the way a business statement is stated or described, it doesn't automatically include your problem within that statement.
Yeah. So for this, sorry, there's some internal questions that I'm getting directly to me. But yeah, I mean, if anything, so when you're talking about this, the solution sometimes is your business idea, but at the same time too, when you're working through this box, it's not just like, I know there's a lack of food trucks in Navajo, especially in Western Agency, and that's what I'm going to start this. Or, you know, my family says that my fried bread skills are spectacular, and I should sell it. You know, those, yes, in a sense, those could be great places to start a business idea, but then they're too essentially like talked about about the reason why you started versus the actual conceptual of understanding what's going to happen in the business. So when you're talking a lot about, you know, this business idea, you're breaking down essentially the operation so that you can separate the why to what is happening operationally, or what then next action items need to happen for you to conceptualize, or not conceptualize, but essentially put into action the next steps of this business. So if it's quote unquote, let's take one of these examples. If it's like the Hopi cultural tours, okay, great. So the next thing that we can do is think about work capacity as an individual. Maybe the person who's trying to start this business, that they're like, okay, I know I could do 3 tours a day because they take maybe an hour each, and I need to have lag time to recuperate because I'm the only one who's doing it right now because I can't afford other employees to do it. So then what should then I essentially price them at? So then that's when kind of the next action item starts happening, where you're almost kind of starting to build the menu of services, or even to like the general menu. Sorry, my AirPod just died, so if I dropped off there, please let me know. But yeah, just kind of like essentially the business idea, especially in this box, should be talking and essentially foreshadowing the next type of action items that you need to accomplish what you wrote here in the business idea. So if you only write in here about like the reasoning to start the business, it doesn't really kind of give you action items to go forward into. And sometimes those action items, like let's take a real barrier here in Navajo. I want to have a restaurant that, or even two, let's do a different one. I know this one's really good. I want to start a laundromat in Round Rock, Arizona. And it's like, oh, okay, great. I want to start a laundromat in Round Rock, Arizona, because there is no laundromat that already existed, and that it would really benefit the community. And we could definitely make a ton of money off of it and also help the community with laundry. Awesome. But at the same time, too, that doesn't tell you the next steps of what you have to do to accomplish the laundromat. So, like, you can talk about of like, okay, the laundromat's going to be like right next to the convenience store, or it's going to be located here. I need to build the space up. I hope to build to this larger of a space type of thing. So like it should essentially kind of foreshadow a lot of kind of your next steps of to accomplish those things, because you're almost goal setting right now with this business box. So you know, make sure that you're kind of describing your business in a way that is a little bit goal setting, then just kind of talking a little bit about the need and why. Because that sometimes you can get stuck with a barrier of that, you know, those of you who are from Navajo understand how hard it is to get a physical space, even erected, from kind of the ground up if the space doesn't already exist, especially for something like a laundromat or a restaurant. So, you know, this is kind of a place to think about goal setting and not always talking about like the great kind of opportunity that's going to be explored in the next box.
Awesome. All right, so the next slide is opening up for any questions, or if you have a business idea that you would like to share with us.
Sure, if you want. Well, my business idea is for a photography service out of Hopi, to provide exposure for local entities and businesses. Also to provide photo services for events and ceremonies. It's I guess a chance to maybe offer staff photos or whatever they do, or just highlight what they are doing, like like I said, their events. Right now they're having Hopi cultural language and traditional, I forget all the names, but it's going on right now at the Hopi Veterans Memorial Center. And I think right now they just have one of their local their employees, videotaping, walking out with a phone and doing that. Where I like to come in and maybe provide them maybe a little bit better consider it. I don't know how to put it, but where I'm the one doing that for them, highlighting what they're doing instead of them taking time out of the employees to do that for them. Because sometimes they miss things too. They'll set up the cameras in places where you can catch a better view of people, or even perhaps even interview their own employees, like, hi, what's your name, what are you doing here, what services are you providing, that kind of thing. That's where I would like to kind of start with, and then maybe work up to events for like maybe weddings, high school graduations, family oriented kind of things, where I could maybe provide even videos and then take a video recorder, record the moments that they would like and show it to them, let them choose what they would like to keep for your memories or something like that. So that's sort of where I'm coming with my business, just to, I guess, pick up spirits on one end with the community, and then encourage business and the programs, the things that are going to help them grow, get more exposure.
Awesome, really great. So Holly is sharing on the chat our discussion that we shared with us just now here at the hub. I'm not sure if everyone heard that. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody would love to populate the chat of also sharing you guys together, you guys' business idea. I always joke around with Raquel that I like to do a punny business, such as like a copy, print and coffee house, and call it Coffee Break. So I feel like any type of business I would start would have some sort of coffee house associated with it. I've thought a ton of businesses with coffee and biking. I also thought of a business here on Navajo or in the Southwest in general that's disc golfing. Instead of actual golf courses, I would love to do disc golfing here in the Southwest. I feel it's so beautiful and a little bit less invasive than doing golf courses. Yeah, but if anybody would love to kind of share their own business idea into the chat, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, Holly and I even have discussions on how we can utilize the space here as for our business ideas too. Sometimes we're craving acai bowls randomly and we start thinking of ideas like, oh, if we could do this or that.
A
I don't
cycle
think we
bar
can-
was one of them one time.
Yeah, a cycle bar with the monitors in front so people can cycle and Zoom at the same time here at the eShip Hub in the Tuba City wind. Anyone want to share their ideas? Anyone else, I mean? Marissa, go for it.
Alrighty. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, yes, loud and
Okay.
clear.
All right. I'm gonna show my face here. Hi guys, I'm Marissa. I like to share my idea. Well, I'm from Page, Arizona, and it's funny because you were Raquel, I think that's your name. But the smoothie bowls is kind of like what I want to do. And on the reservation in the Tuba City location, if we ever can find a space to lease. But my idea is a smoothie shop, smoothie bowl shop, baked goods, as in like protein waffles, protein oats, and even protein donuts, and kind of like specialize it for people that have diabetes, just more health conscious. Because grew up in around Tuba City, and it was just always fast food, and it still is till this day. But that was just one of my ideas, and just kind of building up a business plan for it, and how I can map this whole business out, and kind of getting my foot into these doors, and just figuring out where do I start and how can I make it happen.
Awesome.
And
Share.
that would be all. Sorry.
Oh, I think Raquel and I would happily be your customer.
That'll be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, especially if you're based here in Tuba City, but I think we would also opt for driving all the way to Page, an hour from here. Because yesterday here at the eShip Hub, one of my colleagues, or our colleagues, April, who's a new team member on our ESS team, we were talking about that, how scarce food is and how limited our options are. So my colleague shared with me that she doesn't have celiac disease, but she does have a sensitivity to gluten. So looking at our map, if you've been here at our eShip Hub, we have a map of the Navajo Nation with various native businesses that are based here on the nation. And one of them is a coffee shop, and they happen to make blue corn donuts. And they also happen to use gluten-free flour. And so my colleague April was very, very appreciative that she was able to enjoy fresh made blue corn donuts that are gluten-free, and that it didn't impact her health or affect her in any way as regular donuts would have. And then I shared that I have a sensitivity to sugar. So I have to really watch what type of sugar I take, and read the ingredients label. And I told her that it's really surprising how much sugar is in all of our food. And living here on the Navajo Nation, my options are very, very limited unless I make the 3 to 4 hour trip to the nearest city with a Sam's or a Costco to shop for my needs. And my husband and I are always talking about how wonderful it would be to have a Costco in Chinle, which is just an hour away from our house. And we talk about all the Navajos and natives who would be in Chinle every day shopping at Costco. And then even the border towns, like the nearest Costco from here, I think, is Prescott. And that's not an easy place to get to. From Holly, the nearest Costco, I believe, is Albuquerque, and that's not easy to get to either. So I really appreciate your idea, Marissa. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? All right, moving on. So this is a visual. I'm not sure who developed this. You, Holly?
I
Holly developed
did.
this.
Yeah, we talked
You want to
about
walk us through it?
Yeah, we talked about essentially like this is one of the things that we do here at Change Labs as an internal team. We start to like kind of look at like the necessities that if we could build from the ground up and be our own city mappers, or you know, see the needs that's needed in the community that we constantly hear through the quote unquote grapevine of our fellow patrons and community members, that like this is essentially what we kind of came up with. If we were to really you know, create a Navajo like city or town. And so it started with essentially an intersection, and it turned into like, well, we need more than 4 businesses in every single town. And so what are the needs that we hear about all the time that definitely could essentially create a lot of opportunity, but also to hone in a ton of things that we have of servicing our communities that are unique to our communities. And so this is kind of our take as I partnered with one of our fellow Change Labbers to kind of create this idea. We modeled it after the Navajo wedding basket, and each one of essentially the black triangles is some sort of business or informational center that is very much needed in each community as we talk about this. So there's a laundromat, there's auto shops, there's a USPS office, FedEx, and as well as to hair salons, so, a ton of business spaces for people to do that are affordable. And as well as to like a professional tax prep of a bank, and which we have a feed store as well. But in the core of this all, we talked about the pillars of a community, especially Navajo community, talking about that we need the cultural center that's for elders and youth to you know, utilize, and as well as to a learning space or a daycare and library, a coffee shop for sure, and community governance of having the chapter house, of course, within it all, and a fitness center or co-working space, and a grocery or co-op type of market for farmers that we can collaborate with localized farmers to help kind of sell produce and you know, things that come from the land in our communities to do so. So all of it kind of resembling more of a circle than, of course, our initial of an intersection, and taking that idea of an intersection and actually modifying it of what would actually work in our communities. Those of you who are probably shaking your head at this, this would never work. It's okay. Here at Change Labs, we're all about innovation, and as well as, you know, questioning the unknown and the possibilities. Those of you who have known Change Labs for a really long time, you guys probably have seen the image that we have of like envisioning a new or a different type of Tuba City, of if businesses could have and occupy space within Tuba City, what would that look like? It's a very popular photo that we have in poster form that if you came to our grand opening, we're handing those out, or even to if you stop by, we'll show you the original painting that we have that's somewhere behind me back here. So yeah, you know, we really are here to show you guys all that not only that we know there's a huge need for each one of these businesses and your business idea that you're coming to the session for, but the fact that we really hope one day, and if anything, we're working towards it, even with the space that we created here of a co-working space. A co-working space, if those of you who don't know who are on the call, it's basically an open space or even two small offices, not really here, but essentially space for you guys to continue to work on these business ideas. We have free Wi-Fi here. We have printing, and as well as to electricity, one being foremost of charging anything that you need here. And as well as to trying to be that kind of source in community so that we can get to a point like this that we see a ton of these needed businesses in each of our communities, but also to not always resorting back to franchises to accomplish this, that we can do it together as a community to help kind of be backed by small businesses to help weave this type of community that we do need and desperately can achieve. So, yep, that's my inspirational talk for today.
Awesome. And then in the next sheet, or the next slide, are the wonderful alumni of the incubator program that we had here. And all of these alumni are primarily based on the Navajo and Hopi nations, and they share our vision of being part of the community and being part of our local economic landscape and sharing that value that we all impact each other and we all help sustain each other, even though some of us may be competitive and competing each other as far as what our business is, we support each other through our operations. So I really like this visual that Holly put together as well. And it puts into perspective like where all of our people, all of our alumni members are at. So we are almost at, or we are at time actually. So we're going to get over through these next slides really, really quickly. We're going to start to answer our next question on our sheet. But the question is, how do you do business? So in the business landscape, there are three fundamental pillars that drive success: sales and marketing, operations, and administration. So sales and marketing focuses on acquiring customers and communicating how your solution addresses their needs. Operation is your actual doing your business. It ensures the delivery of your product or service, and then it's closely tied to identifying and solving customer problems. And then administration is how you get paid. So you're managing your finances and sustaining your business, addressing challenges related to revenue and financial stability. These pillars not only guide essential functions of your business, but also play a crucial role in identifying and solving problems for your business that your business aims to address. So on the next slide, we're almost done. Is question 2. What is the problem we're solving? So consumers are inclined to purchase a product or service that addresses a problem, alleviates a pain, or offers a benefit or gain for themselves. So what specific problem is your product or service designed to solve? For the Pinion Fiber Truck, here are some of the problems that we want to solve. One being that the res is a food desert. We all know that. And mobileness allows us to reach more individuals. And then another example is some communities can't travel very far from their community. Maybe they work long hours and it's really hard to get to the grocery store all the time, or it's just easier on yourself and your family to have that option of food. Or maybe you just want to treat yourself. That's cool too. And then some communities don't have any restaurants or food options or catering options. That's a problem that Change Lab has. We constantly have events here. We have staff meetings here. We try to bring groups of people here. And a big question is who is local and who is a small business owner and who is a native business owner that can provide catering orders for a small group of 10 to 20 people. So that's something, if you know the answer to, we're looking to answer that as well. And the next one. So we answered our questions for our Pinion Fiber Truck. So can we describe our business idea? So we want to start a Pinion Fiber Truck that travels to Kayenta, Pinion, Shanto, Tuba City, and Hopi, making fry bread and Navajo tacos. We're going to say Navajo because Holly and I are Navajo. So we're not going to get into that discussion today. The next question is, why start this idea? So that's our problem that we're trying to solve. Is then the problem that we identified is that there's no traveling food truck that reaches all these places. And our friends and family have commented that we have awesome fry bread skills and that they're the best, crispiest golden fry bread around town. So that's how we answer our our sticky notes there. And Holly, anything else you want to add on there?
Yeah, so when you're kind of talking about the next stage, this is definitely the place to now, which I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start talking to me, this is where they start. This is where they're talking to me about, like, I had this type of experience, and this is why I want to start this, because why not me than anybody else? Or also too, they get into where they saw something and they were like, I can do that. And or they traveled somewhere and they saw this thing and they're like, that's the same thing that I make, or that I can do that exact same thing. Or even too, right now, I'm helping a really dear friend with her wedding planning. And she's like asking me all these questions because I talk with businesses every day, that she's like, do you know anybody who does food? Do you know anybody who has a ton of tables and chairs that I can rent? Do you have a person who does tents? Or do you have, a print shop that you go to that does like sign printing and things like that? Because I want to help Navajo businesses or native businesses in the Southwest to do this, then go to Staples or, whatever else is out there. So, there's sometimes this why and what you're doing, especially as we're breaking out a little bit more and more and kind of touching on value proposition, which is heavily covered in the BMC. That can also just be like your identity into the business, that this is Native owned, this is Navajo owned, this is Hopi owned, that this information is coming from the source type of thing. Like, that's where you can essentially kind of start writing a ton of those details out into this space. So we've talked about the operations. Now we're describing about how we came to this idea of the business, of really kind of sourcing that again too. Like, again, my friend told me if I had a hogan, she would rent a hogan from me for her wedding. So now this makes me think I could have a whole wedding business in the Navajo Nation. And if you're a caterer, oh my gosh, there's a huge kind of opportunity in the Southwest, especially in rural parts, to do that. And so that's all I have to add, but thank you so much. And I will pass it back off to Raquel.
Okay, I'm not on mute now. Awesome. Thank you, Holly. I was just sharing that a food truck is actually one of my ideas for a business. Change Labs and our co-founders or our leadership here are constantly wanting each of our team members to think it as far as development. So what are your plans post Change Labs? Because I don't think anyone plans to be here forever. You never know. But I had shared that one of my ideas is to start a business of my own with my husband. And we see that need for catering, and we have a background in business and a background in catering as well. And so why not start that? We have some of the expertise there, and we know what kind of research we should be doing to get ourselves started, and we have an idea of what the costs are going to be. So this is helping me visualize myself, an idea I actually had. And so, like Holly said, if you know of any caterers in the area, please let us know. Then that pretty much concludes our day for now. If you have any questions, please drop them in the box. Otherwise, we are going to let everyone go for the day and enjoy the rest of their afternoon. If you are available this afternoon, we will have group coaching at 4 p.m. at the same link that you joined us here today, right now. And I think that's all I have to share. Is there any questions right now? You guys are free to come off mute, or unless you guys here in the room have any questions right now. Yeah, they're pretty simple. I think what we mostly wanted to share today is taking into the account that a lot of our entrepreneurs are very, very influential on our local economy system. And so we don't think any idea is too light of idea or the fleeting idea. They're all they all contribute to our ecosystem, and they're all valuable, and they're all very, very needed services. All right. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you for coming and sharing. Yes, we will have our morning session at 9 a.m. I apologize for our very, very late notice of rescheduling this morning. I wasn't feeling well, so we decided to postpone and have Holly support me here today at noon. So we will have our virtual session tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. to 10. If you're in the Tuba City area or you know of anybody in the Tuba City area who's free for an hour, we will have our in-person session here at noon. That one won't be recorded. It'll be purely in person. And then at 4 p.m. again tomorrow, we will have the virtual group session as well on Zoom at the same link that you guys registered to be here today. For Friday, it'll be fully virtual. Holly will be presenting at noon, or do we want to do 9? Okay, so we'll do 9 at on Friday as well. Holly will be presenting on the 3rd day. Tomorrow we'll be going over these next 3 stickies with Dwayne. He's going to go cover solution, customer segments, and competition. It was really, really difficult for me to not start tapping into that today, but that will be safe for tomorrow. This is a lot of information. So thank you guys. If you have any questions or any issues with getting connected, I think I emailed almost everybody here this morning, letting you guys know the schedule change. I will send another email tomorrow morning, just to remind everybody that we have the session coming up. So if you have any questions or concerns, especially with getting connected to our Zoom session, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll be watching it all day. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. We will hopefully see you tomorrow.